You are entering the meeting now.
वेबिनार में स्वागत है, अभिनंदन है। इन्वेस्टिंग इन पीपल, इकोनॉमी एंड इनोवेशन, ये एक ऐसी थीम है जो विकसित भारत के रोडमैप को डिफाइन करती है। इस साल के बजट में आपको इसका प्रभाव भी बहुत बड़े स्केल पर दिख रहा है। इसलिए यह बजट भारत के भविष्य का ब्लूप्रिंट बनकर सामने आया है। हमने इन्वेस्टमेंट में जितनी प्राथमिकता इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और इंडस्ट्रीज को दी है, उतनी ही प्राथमिकता पीपल, इकोनॉमी और इनोवेशन को भी दी है। आप सब जानते हैं, कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग और टैलेंट नर्चरिंग ये देश की प्रगति के लिए फाउंडेशन स्टोन का काम करती है। इसलिए अब विकास के अगले चरण में हमें इन क्षेत्रों में और ज्यादा निवेश करना है। इसके लिए हम सभी स्टेक होल्डर्स को आगे आना होगा, क्योंकि ये देश की इकोनॉमिक सक्सेस के लिए आवश्यक है और साथ ही ये हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की सक्सेस का भी आधार है। साथियों, इन्वेस्टमेंट इन पीपल का विजन 3 पिलर्स पर खड़ा होता है: एजुकेशन, स्किल और हेल्थ केयर। आज आप देख रहे हैं, भारत का एजुकेशन सिस्टम कई दशक के बाद कितने बड़े ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन से गुजर रहा है। नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी जैसे बड़े कदम, आईआईटीज का विस्तार, एजुकेशन सिस्टम में टेक्नोलॉजी का इंटीग्रेशन, एआई के फुल पोटेंशियल का उपयोग, टेक्स्ट बुक का डिजिटाइजेशन, 22 भारतीय भाषाओं में लर्निंग मटेरियल्स उपलब्ध करवाने का काम, ऐसे कितने ही प्रयास मिशन मोड में जारी है। इनके कारण आज भारत का एजुकेशन सिस्टम 21वीं सदी की दुनिया की जरूरतों और पैरामीटर्स को मैच कर रहा है। साथियों, सरकार ने 2014 से अब तक 3 करोड़ से ज्यादा युवाओं को स्किल ट्रेनिंग दी है। हमने 1000 आईटीआई संस्थानों को अपग्रेड करने और 5 सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस बनाने का ऐलान किया है। हमारा लक्ष्य है कि युवाओं की ट्रेनिंग ऐसी होनी चाहिए कि वो हमारी इंडस्ट्री की जरूरतों पूरी कर सके। इसमें हम ग्लोबल एक्सपर्ट से मदद लेकर ये सुनिश्चित कर रहे हैं कि हमारे युवा वर्ल्ड लेवल पर compete कर सके। इन सब प्रयासों में हमारी इंडस्ट्री और एकेडेमिया की सबसे बड़ी भूमिका है। इंडस्ट्री और एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट्स एक दूसरे की जरूरतों को समझे और उन्हें पूरा करें। युवाओं को तेजी से बदलती दुनिया के साथ चलने का मौका मिले, उनको एक्सपोजर मिले, उन्हें प्रैक्टिकल लर्निंग के लिए प्लेटफॉर्म मिले। इसके लिए सभी स्टेक होल्डर्स को एक साथ आना होगा। हमने युवाओं को नए अवसर और प्रैक्टिकल स्किल्स देने के लिए पीएम इंटर्नशिप स्कीम शुरू की है। इस योजना में हर स्केल पर ज्यादा से ज्यादा उद्योगों की भागीदारी हो, हमें ये सुनिश्चित करना ही है। साथियों, हमने इस बजट में 10,000 अतिरिक्त मेडिकल सीटों की घोषणा की है। हम अगले 5 सालों में मेडिकल लाइन में 75,000 सीटें जोड़ने का टारगेट लेकर चल रहे हैं। सभी प्राइमरी हेल्थ सेंटर्स टेली मेडिसिन सुविधा का विस्तार इन सब क्षेत्रों में हो रहा है। डे केयर, कैंसर सेंटर और डिजिटल हेल्थ केयर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के जरिए हम क्वालिटी हेल्थ केयर को लास्ट माइल तक पहुंचाना चाहते हैं। आप कल्पना कर सकते हैं, इससे लोगों के जीवन में कितना बड़ा परिवर्तन आएगा। इससे युवाओं के लिए रोजगार के भी अनेक नए अवसर बनेंगे। इन्हें जमीन पर उतारने के लिए आपको उतनी ही तेजी से काम करना है। तभी हम बजट घोषणाओं का लाभ ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों तक पहुंचा पाएंगे। साथियों, पिछले 10 वर्षों में हमने इकोनॉमी में इन्वेस्टमेंट को भी फ्यूचरिस्टिक सोच के साथ देखा है। आप जानते हैं, 2047 तक भारत की शहरी आबादी लगभग 90 करोड़ तक हो जाने का अनुमान है। इतनी बड़ी आबादी के लिए प्लान अर्बनाइजेशन की जरूरत है। इसके लिए हमने 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए का अर्बन चैलेंज फंड बनाने की पहल की है। इससे गवर्नेंस, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और फाइनेंशियल सस्टेनेबिलिटी पर फोकस किया जाएगा और प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टमेंट भी बढ़ेगा। हमारे शहर सस्टेनेबल अर्बन मोबिलिटी, डिजिटल इंटीग्रेशन और क्लाइमेट रेजिलियंस प्लान के लिए जाने जाएंगे। हमारे प्राइवेट सेक्टर को, खासकर रियल स्टेट और इंडस्ट्री को प्लान अर्बनाइजेशन पर फोकस करना चाहिए, उसे और आगे बढ़ाना चाहिए। अमृत 2.0 और जल जीवन मिशन जैसे अभियानों को भी आगे बढ़ाने के लिए सभी को साथ काम करना है। साथियों, आज जब हम अर्थव्यवस्था में निवेश की बात कर रहे हैं, तो हमें पर्यटन की संभावनाओं पर विशेष ध्यान देने की जरूरत है। पर्यटन सेक्टर का हमारी जीडीपी में योगदान 10% तक होने की संभावना है। इस सेक्टर में करोड़ों युवाओं को रोजगार देने की क्षमता है। इसलिए इस बजट में घरेलू और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय टूरिज्म को बढ़ावा देने के लिए कई फैसले लिए गए हैं। देश भर में 50 डेस्टिनेशंस को टूरिज्म पर फोकस करते हुए विकसित किया जाएगा। इन डेस्टिनेशंस में होटलों को इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का दर्जा दिए जाने से ईज ऑफ टूरिज्म बढ़ेगा, स्थानीय रोजगार को भी बढ़ावा मिलेगा। होम स्टे के लिए मुद्रा योजना का दायरा भी बढ़ाया गया है। हिल इन इंडिया और लैंड ऑफ द बुद्धा इस अभियान के माध्यम से दुनिया भर के पर्यटकों को आकर्षित किया जा रहा है। भारत एक ग्लोबल स्तर का टूरिज्म एंड वेलनेस हब बने, इस दिशा में प्रयास किए जा रहे हैं। साथियों, जब हम पर्यटन की बात करते हैं तो इसमें होटल इंडस्ट्री, ट्रांसपोर्ट सेक्टर के अलावा पर्यटन में दूसरे सेक्टर के लिए भी नए अवसर हैं। इसलिए मैं कहूंगा, हमारे हेल्थ सेक्टर के स्टेक होल्डर्स हेल्थ टूरिज्म को प्रमोट करने के लिए इन्वेस्ट करें। ये अपॉर्चुनिटी तो ग्रैब कीजिए आप। योगा और वेलनेस टूरिज्म के पूरे पोटेंशियल को भी हमें इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए। एजुकेशन टूरिज्म में भी हमारे पास काफी स्कोप है। मैं चाहूंगा इस दिशा में विस्तार से चर्चा हो और एक स्ट्रांग रोडमैप के साथ इस दिशा में आगे बढ़ा जाए। साथियों, देश का भविष्य इनोवेशन में किए जा रहे निवेश से निर्धारित होता है। भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था में आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस कई लाख करोड़ रुपए की ग्रोथ दे सकती है। इसलिए हमें इस दिशा में तेजी से आगे बढ़ना है। इस बजट में एआई ड्रिवेन एजुकेशन और रिसर्च के लिए 500 करोड़ आवंटित किए गए हैं। भारत एआई की क्षमताओं को विकसित करने के लिए नेशनल लार्ज लैंग्वेज मॉडल की स्थापना भी करेगा। इस दिशा में हमारे प्राइवेट सेक्टर को भी दुनिया से एक कदम आगे रहने की जरूरत है। एक रिलायबल, सेफ और डेमोक्रेटिक देश जो एआई में इकोनॉमिकल सॉल्यूशन दे सके, विश्व को उसका इंतजार है। आप इस सेक्टर में अभी जितना इन्वेस्ट करेंगे, भविष्य में उतना ही एडवांटेज आपको मिलेगा। साथियों, भारत अब दुनिया का तीसरा सबसे बड़ा स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम है। स्टार्टअप्स को बढ़ावा देने के लिए सरकार ने इस बजट में कई कदम उठाए हैं। रिसर्च और इनोवेशन को बढ़ाने के लिए 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए का कॉर्पस फंड पास किया गया है। इसमें डीप टेक फंड ऑफ फंड्स के साथ उभरते सेक्टर्स में निवेश बढ़ेगा। आईआईटी और आईआईएससी में 10,000 रिसर्च फेलोशिप की व्यवस्था बनाई गई है। इससे रिसर्च को बढ़ावा मिलेगा, प्रतिभाशाली युवाओं को मौका मिलेगा। नेशनल जियो स्पेशियल मिशन और अनुसंधान नेशनल रिसर्च फाउंडेशन के माध्यम से इनोवेशन को गति मिलेगी। भारत को रिसर्च और इनोवेशन के क्षेत्र में नई ऊंचाई पर पहुंचाने के लिए हमें हर स्तर पर मिलकर काम करना होगा। साथियों, ज्ञान भारतम मिशन और मैं आशा करता हूं इस सब में आप सब आगे आए। ज्ञान भारतम मिशन के माध्यम से भारत की समृद्ध मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स हेरिटेज को संरक्षित करने की घोषणा बहुत ही अहम है। इस मिशन के माध्यम से 1 करोड़ से अधिक मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट पांडुलिपियों को डिजिटल फॉर्म में बदला जाएगा, जिसके बाद एक नेशनल डिजिटल रिपोजिटरी बनाई जाएगी, जिससे दुनिया भर के स्कॉलर्स और रिसर्चर्स भारत के हिस्टोरिकल और ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज और विजडम को जान सकेंगे। सरकार द्वारा भारत के प्लांट जेनेटिक रिसोर्सेज को संरक्षित करने के लिए नेशनल जीन बैंक की स्थापना की जा रही है। हमारी इस पहल का उद्देश्य आने वाली पीढ़ियों के लिए जेनेटिक रिसोर्सेज और खाद्य सुरक्षा को सुनिश्चित करना है। हमें इस तरह के प्रयासों का दायरा बढ़ाना होगा। हमारे अलग अलग इंस्टीट्यूट्स और सेक्टर्स को इन प्रयासों में भागीदार बनाना चाहिए। साथियों, फरवरी में ही भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था को लेकर आईएमएफ के शानदार ऑब्जर्वेशंस भी हम सबके सामने हैं। इस रिपोर्ट के मुताबिक 2015 से 2025 के बीच, 2015 से 2025 के बीच, इन 10 वर्षों में भारत की इकोनॉमी ने 66% की, यानी 66% की ग्रोथ दर्ज की है। भारत अब $3.8 ट्रिलियन की इकोनॉमी बन गया है। ये ग्रोथ कई बड़ी इकोनॉमीज से भी ज्यादा है। वो दिन दूर नहीं जब भारत $5 ट्रिलियन की इकोनॉमी बनेगा। हमें सही दिशा में सही निवेश करते हुए आगे बढ़ना है। अपनी अर्थव्यवस्था का इसी तरह विस्तार करना है और इसमें बजट घोषणाओं के इंप्लीमेंटेशन की भी बड़ी भूमिका है। आप सभी की अहम भूमिका है। आप सभी को मेरी बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं हैं और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि पिछले कुछ वर्षों से बजट घोषित कर करके आप अपना कर लो, हम हमारा कर ले, वो परंपरा हमने तोड़ दी। बजट बनाते से पहले भी आपके साथ बैठते हैं, बजट बनने के बाद भी, घोषित करने के बाद भी जो चीजें सामने आती हैं उसको इंप्लीमेंट करने के लिए भी हम आपके साथ बैठते हैं। शायद जन भागीदारी का एक मॉडल बहुत रेयर होता है और मुझे खुशी है कि लगातार प्रतिवर्ष इस एक मंथन के कार्यक्रम को बल भी मिल रहा है, उत्साह से लोग भी जुड़ रहे हैं और हर एक को लगता है कि बजट के पूर्व जितनी बातें हम करते हैं उससे ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण बातें बजट के बाद इंप्लीमेंटेशन में उपयोगी होती है। मुझे विश्वास है हम सबका ये सामूहिक मंथन हमारे सपनों को, 140 करोड़ देशवासियों के सपनों को पूर्ण करने में बहुत बड़ा रोल प्ले करेंगे। मेरी आप सबको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं हैं। धन्यवाद।
Abhi se sir, 2 o'clock, from 2 o'clock.
We have about 7-minute break.
Yes.
7 minute break or session.
Within By 2, we will start the breakout sessions. All the panelists are requested to start the breakout sessions, all the ministries. Thank you so much.
And so far as theme 5 is concerned, Honorable Minister Urban Affairs is joining us. He'll be here for some time to guide us and participate in the discussions. So we'll reconvene at 2 o'clock, please. Another 7 minutes from now.
Good afternoon and welcome everybody.
I'm Ravi Kumar.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Am I audible?
ये 10 लंच पे और ये दो एक्स्ट्रा ही पड़ेगा
All the panelists, may I request all the panelists to switch on their cameras?
May I request the NIC team to put us in different breakout sessions, please?
It seems there is some delinking is going on from the main group. We can wait for a minute or two.
Still trying to de-link, please.
The panelist for the breakout session, water sanitation. Can you hear me, please?
we need to first
I would request all the panelists to switch on their cameras.
NIC team is requested to please demerge all the sessions, the breakout sessions. I think we're all still merged together.
Hi, everyone.
All the panelists for water sanitation section, can you hear me? Am I audible? I can see Miss Aarti Mehra on screen. So can you hear me?
I can hear you very well
Thank
and
you.
I can see you
Thanks.
very well.
Shiv Guru Mohanji, fine.
I can hear you, madam. I can hear.
Achha, Isha is there in the blue sari.
I think the
But we're
people
still
from other
merged
sessions
together
are
with
also
water
there in
sanitation.
this session. I'm not sure how we join the various sessions.
Yeah, they'll do it from the, yeah, I think NIC is going to do it. Just give them a minute, yeah.
We'll just wait. Okay.
So good afternoon, everyone. Can any of the other sessions hear us, or is it just water sanitation and cleanliness?
I can hear you. I think we all can hear
Okay,
you.
so
And
this
everyone
means
is saying.
okay. So this means governance session is also linked, and so is growth hub.
And growth hubs.
Can growth hub people also hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes,
I
we
think
can
they try
hear
to
you.
de-link us.
So I think so we need to de-link the session. So I think say NIC team is doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, give them a minute or two. I think they are on the job.
Briefly, I'll share the details of the roadmap and strategy for the sector or the projects to become bankable. Next slide. So the first step is what needs to be done and how. We offer three measures, ADB and the World Bank. First measure is to focus on service improvement at the consumer end, in addition to infrastructure investment and asset creation. For example, for water supply, increase duration, quality, and pressure of water supply at the consumer end, or improve property connections for sewerage, or improve segregation at source through behavior change campaigns for solid waste management. Second measure is on efficiency improvement. For example, reduce water losses or NRW for water supply. And the third measure is on increasing revenues and reducing costs to ensure that tariffs can recover at least the operation and maintenance cost. That can provide some surplus to attract private sector and PPPs. Can you please move the slides? Okay, I'll just carry on in the interest of time. Yeah, next one, please. Yeah, this one. So the second step of the roadmap is to review impact versus cost to guide prioritization and attract private capital and PPP. By prioritizing low cost, high impact intervention, as is depicted in the top left quadrant of this slide, cities can maximize improvements with limited resources. Fundamental measures such as metering, sewerage connections, resource recovery, waste segregation at source, NRW reduction, and distribution network optimization. These are all essential for reaching higher goals such as 24/7 portable water supply, drink from tap, or to attract private capital. This current slide, this talks about the various interventions which are essential for attracting investments. So by identifying specific projects with high bankabilities, cities can prioritize initiatives that are more likely to secure funding through PPPs, bonds, or bank loans, which are the provisions under the Urban Challenge Fund. Again, we have listed out several interventions in both water supply, sanitation, and also in the solid waste management. Yeah, next slide, please. So in addition to the main interventions, there are also several supporting mechanisms which can be done in parallel. For example, landfill levies, purchase agreements for electricity or biogas, viability gap funding, tariff reforms, at least for recovery of O&M costs are important for the bankability and attract private sector participation and the PPPs. Last slide, please. Next one. Yeah, so the ensuring financial sustainability requires a balanced approach and a strategic approach. There are three important stakeholders mentioned here. The first one is the integrate government funding, service provider revenues, and also the private capital to build high quality services and attract private capital and PPPs in the sector. I would request Mahua to share this strategic framework and the knowledge framework which ADB and the World Bank Group have prepared with all the participants. That will be a really good way to take it forward. Thank you. I'll hand over to Aarti, our Deputy Country Director now. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Manoj. I won't go through this slide in detail because we are running short of time, and people have made the point that the sharing of risk between the public entity and the private entity in the PPP project, that is at the heart of the matter. And all of these other things that are mentioned here are really just a manifestation of that. So we can go to the next slide, and what I think will be more useful in the little time we have is for me to share a couple of case studies, international case studies, also from other developing countries. Next slide, please. The first case study that I want to mention is Metro Manila, the water service in Metro Manila. 20 years back, this was in a very bad condition. It had very poor service quality. The water supply coverage was low, only 2/3 of the population was covered, and non-revenue water was very high. Then the government embarked on a PPP, and of course they had to do many of the things which are that the commissioner from Surat mentioned, as also from Bangalore. The net result of that project was, in these three metrics that were the real problem, there was a marked improvement. So service quality, which is availability of water throughout the day, it went from just 26% of consumers to almost 98% of consumers, so really covering everybody. So that was one great outcome. Second was non-revenue water. It was as high as 50-60%, which is around where the average is for India. The 100 cities in India that we surveyed. That came down to as low as 12%. And coverage itself went from something like 66% to 100%. So those were the great wins of this PPP example. Now, it was not without its problems, and I think that's also important to highlight. So one of the features was that tariffs had to be increased, water tariffs had to be increased. It didn't happen all without any friction. Users who had been used to paying much lower tariffs obviously protested. And towards the end of the concession, then there was a lot of contest and challenge of the concession pricing. And indeed, they had to rethink that pricing formula. And in the end, they were able to have a more moderate increase in pricing. The benefits were obviously leveraged out of the reduction in non-revenue water and the increase in the scale of the operation, because now they had just a whole lot more users than what they had before, reaping economies of scale, which could then translate into a more moderated increase in tariff. Next slide, please. What PPP brings also is a certain professionalization of how the enterprise is run. And while it brings about that change, it also needs quite a lot of capacity to first put it into place. So in that context, let me share with you this wastewater treatment plant in Uzbekistan. This is Namangan is the second largest city in Uzbekistan. And they had built a wastewater treatment plant first in 1965, which had a channel of about 7 kilometers that then connected the treated water and put it back into the river called Sirdarya, which is a major water body in the country, which was flowing adjacent to the city. Now, this plant over time had gone into disuse. It was not effective anymore, and untreated water was being dumped back into the river. Not a scenario that is unfamiliar to us in India. Now, unfortunately, this city, the profile of users in this city, they weren't a lot of large industrial or commercial users. It was mainly small and medium enterprises. Sorry?
Yeah, I would just request if you can expedite a little because we're just running short of time. Thank you.
Yeah. So, in short, the profile of users was such that this wastewater treatment plant could not actually, the potential for user charges was not there. And therefore, the municipality had to resort to a pricing which is, or a model which is akin to what in India we call the HAM model, where availability payments were made. That is, as long as the private operator built the new treatment plant and it was operational and it was, cleaning the water up to the agreed specifications, they were given an availability payment. So maybe I'll stop here and Isha, back to you for Q&A.
Thank you so much. So because a lot of people have been asking, states have been asking questions, so I thought it'll be a good opportunity for the panelists to answer them. So the first question, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, they've asked from ADB. So I would request you to answer that. So they say that multilateral agencies often take considerable time for finalizing the funding agreements with the states. So how can this process be streamlined and expedited so that they can reach out to the multilaterals for funding? So if you can from your experience of the processes, if you can just share how quickly states can equip themselves, if I put it the other way, because a lot of documentation required. So how would you, guide the states so that they can actually get through this entire documentation and approval process and quickly access the funds?
Maybe I'll start.
Yeah.
So I must say that over the years, multilateral agencies, including the ADB, have become more efficient. We have also learned from our experiences and refined our systems and processes, and so have the executing agencies and implementing agencies learned the processes of multilateral development banks. One important factor which has really helped is the DEA's readiness checklist, which requires parallel processing on several fronts. One is the documentation and approval process in MDBs, and second is the preparation of DPRs, bidding documents, advance contracting, and at times disbursements also. In fact, we have also now taken up the advanced contracting and retroactive financing as our default process. So the processing time has come down drastically in ADB and World Bank, and we are always looking for ways to streamline these processes, and we'll continue to work with the DEA, MOA, and the states on that front. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next question is by Tamil Nadu. So they just want to ask that their question is for Shalini ma'am. So they want to ask that what type of projects should be identified for raising funding through issuance of municipal bonds? So if a ULB wants to issue a municipal bond, what kind of project should they go for?
So I think there should be two conditions related to the project. That one, it should be of the essential nature, like water supply, drainage, or some kind of very essential public utility. And secondly, it should also generate some kind of revenues out of maybe some kind of license fees or user charges or something like that. So that when you have to make repayments, you can finance it through user charges. But in case if you find that the project doesn't have a revenue generation capacity, but it is very important in terms of public interest, then I would suggest that your best option is property tax. And you should have an escrow mechanism, because the investors' interest should be protected irrespective of elected body or your tenure in municipal corporation. So some portion of property tax can be linked to escrow accounts, and then you can do the repayments. Also, nowadays we have mandate to go for climate change actions. So like these green bonds can also be done for installation of solar power plants, wind power plants, reuse and recycle of wastewater, or maybe some kind of processing plants where private players are not available for solid waste management. So these can be again some of the projects which can be used for municipal bonds.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question is from Karnataka. So I think Jacobs Vinodji can answer this. So the state asked that how do we develop structure PPP projects to attract serious players? So just 2-3 broad principles, if you can speak about for this.
Yeah, I think hire the right people for the right job actually. And again, I say that don't try to copy the project which has been done elsewhere, because each project is very 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 particular for that particular sector. And the third is that make sure that you are not trying to make the bankable project a bankable, which is not at all possible just because of somebody has a romance with something. Right, we want to charge $20 or 20 rupees or 30 rupees for the wastewater.
You are entering the meeting
it's
now.
Not feasible. So I think it has to be very practical and reality stick to the reality. But I think start with a good transaction manager or transaction advisors, and also you need to have somebody champion within the organization which will continue to develop this project.
Thank you so much. So next question is for Mr. Shiv Guru. The question is from Chhattisgarh and UP, and they say that how have you built the capacity of municipal officials sustaining operation and maintenance of the projects?
Oh, actually, the operations are mainly maintained by this O&M team, but our team members will be monitoring whatever the execution of the leakages and any other this thing, and how the collection has been like done in the revenue collection. Also, we are giving training. Many times we have a interaction with the CS team as well as from our own staff, so that then capability can be improved and how the operation can be carried out in the field. The most challenges we are facing is the road cut restorations, where it involves municipal staff as well as the sewage team, where we have a coordination team ward level. So before going to and executing the project, ward level discussion will happen, and before restoring also the discussion will happen at the ward level, so that the restoration will be complete. Such kind of coordination and training will help the people to improve the capability.
Fine, thank you. We have more questions, but we will respond to them through email as we're running short of time. To just summing up the session and talking of the way forward. So what is important that I would urge all the cities to start developing the shelf of financially viable bankable projects. So start identifying the projects that you would want to pitch in under the Urban Challenge Fund. And you would realize this, that a huge investment is required in this sector that is way beyond what the ongoing flagship programs are providing. So we have to engage more private sectors. Participation has to be ensured. And for this, as ADB told, the risk sharing between the private and public is the core principle that we need to follow. And here from our side, we would want to have a unit which we prepare you, like we can have some model concession agreements, we can have some model DPRs, and we can facilitate also closing the agreements with the multilateral agencies in an expeditious way. And because a lot of international and national experiences are available, so it's important to have a digital platform and a repository where everyone can have good examples you can refer to for bankable projects, how something has worked for some other state, how you can make it work for your own. It is very important. And then engagement, a meaningful engagement between the academicians and the implementing agencies is very important. So here I would also urge all the institutions to have internship trainings, courses for your engineering students, so that all the theory that they're learning can be put into practice, and infusing latest research and innovation for improving service delivery at ground should be at the core of every task that we do. And more important thing is all the ULBs need to understand that yes, municipal bonds, InvIT models, everyone has spoken about, you should leverage it. And under Amrut, we're also providing you incentive for issuance of municipal bond. Almost 5,000 crore has been raised through municipal bond by 13 ULBs. But there's a limit beyond which we cannot increase user charges in ULB. So it is important that you also start thinking on leveraging urban land value capture aspect as a source of revenue for bankability. So that would be all, and I would now just thank you all for your participation, active involvement, and we would reach out to you through emails and answer your questions. And I'm sure all of you are ready to pitch in your projects under the Urban Challenge Fund. Thank you all, and have a very good day. Thanks.
Thanks, Isha.
I think. Yeah. Yeah. I think Suman has to start, ma'am. Suman is starting. What happened? Suman का voice नहीं आ रहा. Suman, can you hear us? Suman, any problem?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear? Am I audible?
Yes, Suman, you are audible.
We can hear you.
Excellent. So I think urban development is taking some time. So let me go with the summary of the discussion in the tourism breakout session. So some of the things that we have discussed are the criteria for selecting 50 destinations and the infrastructure status that has been given. The consensus has been on developing balanced destinations, which means that we pick destinations, existing destinations with high potential, and also balance it with emerging destinations focused on experience-based tourism. The second is the criteria for selection. We should look at infrastructure readiness and state readiness and policy support, especially on what the state is doing in terms of land availability, ease of doing business, and alignment with several other government schemes. The third is on that the infrastructure status will provide a reduced capital cost. It will improve capital availability, and therefore it can be a game changer. But this is something that needs to be applied with a little bit of caution. The fourth element that was also discussed was that we need to support local entrepreneurs when we develop these new destinations, to not only from an economic equity point of view, but also to bring the local flavor to the destination. That is very essential to make it authentic. The next is that we need to have a state competition to ensure that the best proposals are picked by a committee which is experienced and which is varied. One of the other themes that was discussed today was on connectivity to tourist destinations, where it was decided that a hub and spoke model should be developed to improve connectivity, including for these 50 destinations which need to be mapped. The other idea was to have stakeholder collaboration, especially to create, promote easy visa programs, stopover tourism, joint promotions, etc., which requires both the government and the industry to work together to enhance connectivity and to make use of the enhanced connectivity that we already have established. The third theme that was discussed was on performance-linked incentives for destinations, where the idea was to essentially zero down on basic infrastructure and safety. We need to encourage local bodies to be involved in managing the destinations better, and those destinations that are able to meet the benchmark standards should be given incentives, not only to support them in capital infrastructure, but also by way of recognition and rewards. The fourth theme that was discussed in the group today was on the availability of Mudra loans for homestays, where the discussion was on was to focus on more on rural homestays and tribal homestays, was to not to lose sight of the fact that digital discoverability and booking is key to the success of these homestays, and as to how we can bring that policy into play. And we need to have strengthen the open network inventory for them to be able to, as small players, to be able to reach out to the big market that is waiting for this. The fifth theme that was discussed in the discussion today was the skill development programs, and the idea was to provide hands-on training and paid skilling programs to ensure sustainable income. The idea was also to include financial literacy training as a way to make it a part of the training program that we have, and the need for establishing skill centers in rural areas and implement skill enhancement programs through industry partnerships, and to attract more women in the skilling initiatives that we have. The sixth sub-theme that we had was streamlined e-visa facilities and visa fee waivers. And the idea was to further streamline the visa format and to make a standardized format so that make it very simple for people to apply. The idea was also to reduce the visa processing times, which is already short. India does well, but to see if we can improve it further, and to look at potential markets where we could possibly look at introducing visa on arrival, and also to see if we can leverage artificial intelligence and digital technology to make the visa application and the processing more efficient. The seventh sub-theme we had was on medical and wellness tourism, where it was the discussion centered around branding and marketing being central to positioning India as a medical tourism destination, for which the industry and the government needs to come together to leverage upon India's strength in terms of affordable healthcare and pharma, which can be a major differentiator in the market. We also need to ease the visa processes and also utilize the missions, our overseas missions, to boost medical tourism. The idea was also to collaborate globally with industry bodies to take this initiative forward. And wellness and yoga infrastructure is something that we need to invest in aggressively to position India as a global hub for wellness. So this is the broad summary of the discussions that have happened across the several sub-themes which were in the tourism in the tourism breakout session. So may I now, if the others are ready, may I now request Sri Prasad Gadkari, Executive Director and Chief Strategy Officer of National Investment and Infrastructure Fund Limited, for giving us the summary for the session on PPP.
Thank you. So just like to intervene here if allowed to. You see, I have to leave for a, I'm going out of station. So can you allow the AS to do the summing up? Just wanted to request that. If Secretary Mahua is here.
Yeah, sure. Okay, excellent. Who wanted to do the summing up now?
No, if you are okay with it, I can do the summing up and then leave. If you're okay with it, this is post shipping and waterways.
Go ahead, but I'm not able to make out who is speaking.
Oh, it's
speaking. Suman, it is Secretary, sir. Ramachandran, sir.
Yeah, can you? Are we not visible? Just check.
Yes.
No, sir, you are not visible. That's the problem. But sir, yeah.
Which is why the convenience. But please go ahead, sir. If you're ready, please go ahead.
Yeah. So we actually had three different verticals. Three different verticals. One was on shipbuilding. The other was on MDF, the Maritime Development Fund, and the third was on taxation reforms. So on each of these, we've had many good suggestions from the participants. So I'll just give a brief overview. One is that the long-term financial assistance, cluster setup, and skilled manpower. These are the three key areas and adopt a global perspective rather than a regional perspective. That is what I've suggested, because we should not get bogged down by being a regional player within this South Asian, but be global. Then secondly, the historically shipbuilding has been supported by governments across the world, and therefore the announcements are all being appreciated by the industry as being a step in the right direction. Thirdly, the administrative process under the SBFAP, the suggestion was that it should improve. It's an existing scheme, so as a part of ease of business, it should be improved. Then there should be more streamlined coordination with center and states and amongst the central ministries for the policy implementation. That was another suggestion. Then the provisions to boost private shipyard participation. There was a feeling that there is more stress on government and public sector units, so there should be also support for private shipyard participation. Then the Indian tugs, the tugs which are imported but are deemed to be Indian, the request was that our green tug transition policy should be extended to the non-major ports also. Then on the support for domestic shipping through various avenues, including fixing orders, partnerships, ending up the shipbuilding, repair, cycling facilities, etc. Many companies, including MS Maersk, etc., have expressed interest. So, to facilitate this kind of support for domestic shipbuilding, the credit note that has been provided under SPFAP was recognized as a key step to boost ship recycling, because this ship recycling shipbuilding. As far as the low-cost financing is concerned, the ship owners sought provision of vessel-based or asset-based financing, and one of the ways to address the above issues was suggested by NAVID, wherein they said a debt servicing structure which is linked to an index capturing the performance of the structure of the sector can be used rather than the Baltic index, and then the debt can be paid in an accelerated manner. Then MDF, large number of people complimented the minister and of course government for the MDF, which was recognized as a game changer for the sector, and there was a suggestion that the blended financial instrument structure, which is there it's a new structure which is there across the world, especially in climate financing, that be used as one of modes of implementing the MDF. And on the taxation and other reforms, I'll list is to supplement.
Sir, in the panel discussions, the panelists had welcomed, the shipyards had welcomed and thanked the ministry, also the government, for advocating securing the basic custom duty exemption for shipbuilding, also for ship break for another 10 years. This is 2.5% basic custom duty that is applied, and that has been widely welcomed by the whole group of shipbreaking association and the group. Then the very welcome step, and this has been a long-standing demand of the sector, is clear ships as infrastructure. So this is a very major game-changing announcement. This was recognized by the press, and for that the steps are to be taken that we have already started with those steps. And then the integrating taxation benefits offered in GIFT City under the IFSC structure, how the sector, the maritime sector, and particularly the inland waterway transport sector, can take help of the tax exemptions which are available in the IFSC structure, and the tonnage tax, which is the new announcement for the water transportation vessels. Both combined, there will be huge benefit to this sector. So this was recognized by the panel. And they also made some suggestions about the duty structure. They feel that it is currently the inverted duty structure, so there are a lot of GST is locked in, which they are not able to utilize. So they made some suggestions on that. This issue will be taken up with the Ministry of Finance. And there was also a suggestion that there are some challenges they are facing due to BIS regulations on various imported materials which are used for shipbuilding. So those inputs which are not domestically available they are subject to anti-dumping duties, increasing costs, etc. So the view was that this disproportionately affects Indian shipyards. So this needs some kind of policy adjustments. Then the panel also discussed about a fee for recycling ships is required for industry sustainability. And it was suggested that vessels which are older than 25 years may be scrapped. And that view they suggested may be discussed and converted into a policy. Another point was about the there should be a relaxed timeline and other conditions in shipbuilding under Make in India policy. We are working on that, including the domestic content in shipbuilding. And another major announcement in the budget for this year was about tonnage tax.
May I just intervene here? This is Vidyavati, Secretary Tourism.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. So since the time is finite and we have 8 groups to give the summing up, may I request you to keep it very crisp because you will anyway give a detailed report back to the DE.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That's the last point I was making, ma'am, about the tonnage tax scheme that has been extended to the inland waterway transportation. So this will be usually benefit the sector of inland waterway transport. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Sir, apologies for we couldn't see you earlier, so that was why the confusion on who wanted to go first. I would request all the moderators to please limit their intervention to an outer limit of 5 minutes. Is Sri Prasad Gadkari now available to present the summary for the PPP mode, for the PPP breakaway group? Please go ahead.
I can.
You have the
floor. I hope I'm audible. Yes. So I'm going to summarize the summary of 3 breakout sessions. The first was on PPPs. We had 6 participants and a very vibrant discussion. So here are the main highlights which came up. When it came to challenges around PPPs and the solutions, I think there were 3 or 4 main points. One was about quality and preparation, basically generally about the project preparation, the detailed project report, the feasibility report. If they are prepared well, then the projects get good bids and people are more interested. So one has to look at how governments across sectors, when they come out with projects, that is an area to focus on. The second aspect around challenges was around really enhancing the dispute resolution mechanisms, especially how can fast track mechanisms be there wherever there is a dispute, because these are invariably long-term concession contracts. There will be market changes, environment changes, global changes, and so as long as the contract should allow for some renegotiation, there is no unjust enrichment somebody should be able to do out of it. But at the same time, investment which has gone in from equity and lenders should be protected in a very timely manner. So that was another one. Then there was one around standardizing contracts and templates. To some extent, already that has happened. But at times, one sees still some kind of a reinventing of wheel which happens in certain sectors. So if everybody can follow, several sectors are doing very well established bankable contracts are already there. And if people can use those same templates and similar formats, that makes life easier for everybody. So that was the third point. When it came to pipeline for states, I think clearly there were pipeline, the creation of pipeline for PPP pipeline for states is an important element. There is a strong interest from the market on that. And that kind of a pipeline will give a visibility to investors, lenders. So that was the consensus views. What will help is if we make this pipeline rich in terms of content. There has to be some kind of a database or data room should be there for every project. So there's detail available for people to appreciate and understand the projects well in advance. As well as, a lot of times investors plan their schedules for next 2-3 years, especially global investors. They have to decide where do they allocate their time. If we are able to give a visibility in certain sectors that next 2-3 years there's a good visibility, then they devote time, resources for these sectors and geographies. So we should focus on making these pipelines very rich in content. It will also help the lending community. For newer sectors, I think there is in principle interest in newer sectors, whether it's offshore wind, green hydrogen, but clearly risk mitigation and contractual framework has to be properly settled. There will be a need for handholding from the government through VGF, PLI schemes, those kind of mechanisms. Still, some of these sectors are commercially viable, so that will help. Asset monetization, again, is an important theme, and people are keen that more sectors see asset monetization. States should come up with asset monetization schemes because increasingly there is a benefit for them also. So that was an important element which was made. And lastly was on infra financing. There is a need for generating more sources and resources available. India has a fair amount of long-term domestic capital itself on insurance and pension side. How can we bring that capital into our infrastructure? That is an area to focus on. That was the suggestion. Then there were two other panels. There was one panel by DOE on the special assistance to states. This was attended by several states, including Andhra, Assam, Rajasthan, West Bengal. This session really focused on the benefits and the achievements under this model of SESFI, some of the challenges which have been faced, and they suggested some future reforms which can catalyze and really give a fillip to this whole scheme. Because everybody, I think, thinks that there are powerful merits in overall having this kind of a scheme. And similar points actually were resonating in our PPP panel also, that state PPP, actually there is a good interest if it can be done in a proper manner. The third panel was around the DPITs on PM Gati Shakti, and clearly there was a consensus that it will boost really three things: ease of doing business, by really providing data-driven decision making. It will reduce project delays. It will optimize planning. Then it will give a boost to employability by increasing infrastructure development, stimulating more investment, growth of several ancillary industries, and it will boost skill development. And the third was really it will boost PPPs. Some of it which I have already covered. It will really create new business models and help settle and create new viable business models in new areas. So that's a quick summary of the three panel sessions. Thank you.
Suman.
Thank you. So we will now have the summary for urban reforms. I would request Sri Sanjeev, Joint Secretary and Financial Advisor, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, for the summary.
Thank you, sir. Ours was breakout session 2, that is urban reforms, dealt with para number 57, 58, 59, and 72. The webinar was structured across 4 sub-breakout sessions. One was water, cleanliness, and sanitation. Second was urban governance and municipal services. Third was creative redevelopment of cities. And third was cities as growth hubs. And total of 29 panelists have participated who have provided us with deep insights into the challenges and way forward. Throughout these sessions, the key challenges such as funding constraints, capability limitations, governance bottlenecks, and the need for better coordination were identified. Addressing these challenges requires a collaborative approach where public and private sectors work together, leveraging innovation, policy reforms, and strategic investments. The key outcomes of the webinar are as follows. First was the first and foremost suggestion that has come as cities should start identifying self-help projects to be pitched in under Urban Challenge Fund. That was the major announcement in the budget. These projects identified should be financially viable with predictable revenue streams through user charges, treated wastewater sales, or innovative financing mechanism like issuance of bonds, land value capture, PPP, etc. Examples of bankable projects can include revenue generation through definitive reuse of treated wastewater for industrial purposes, bio-CNG projects, waste-to-energy projects, use of renewable energy in water, and sewerage projects to save energy cost. Second suggestion that came was establishment of a national level urban infrastructure promotion and investment unit at Mahua to facilitate project preparation and build the capacity of the cities to assess municipal bond markets, designing PPP projects and national multilateral funding. This unit would also facilitate the states in speedy closure of multilateral funding agreements. This unit shall monitor the requisite reforms at national level. Third, suggestions had come regarding prioritizing creative redevelopment of historic marketplaces and city core areas to boost economic activity by augmentation of legacy infrastructure. Identification of bankable projects in these areas and leveraging urban land as an asset by giving higher FSIs, reduced setbacks, etc. to support the projects, and land value capture as a source of revenue for bankability. The fourth suggestion came regarding states to explore the innovative funding instruments like pooled finances, municipal bonds, and InvIT models. The fifth suggestion is regarding AI-based data governance as a major reform for efficient and transparent cities as a tool to be taken up. The next suggestion, sixth, that is a digital twin of cities for simulation to prevent urban flooding and central and context-based urban planning. The next suggestion was regarding each state should identify and plan for at least one regional growth hubs, ensuring a holistic approach to urban planning. These hubs should be planned in an integrated manner, ensuring seamless spatial, transit, and economic planning. A state should identify bankable projects for augmenting infrastructure in these areas and pitch them under Urban Challenge Fund. The next suggestion was regarding cluster-based municipal services for urban areas to meet the challenges. Please kindly mute the mic, please. The next suggestion was regarding cluster-based municipal services for urban areas to meet the challenges of shortage of manpower and capacities will be in right direction. Next suggestion was there should be a reform cell at the state level to drive requisite reforms in the urban realm and develop synergy amongst different departments. Suggestion has also regarding to establish a national level agency like Japanese Urban Renaissance Agency that can be created under MAHUA to build capacities at central, state, and local levels. The next suggestion is regarding sharing of risk with private partners in biggest challenges needs to be addressed. The last suggestion was regarding model concessionary agreement and model DPR should be prepared early so to hasten the process of projects. That's all from the urban reform side from the MAHUA. Thank you.
Thank you. May I now request the Ministry of Civil Aviation, Mr. Worlnam, Secretary, Ministry of Civil Aviation, for summing up the discussion on connectivity.
Thank you, Suman. The breakout session on connectivity, we had a very fruitful discussion on 4 topics which were shortlisted. In fact, we were happy that there were 503 participants, 503 who joined our breakout session. So we found it to be very fruitful. The first topic was on the RCS UDAN in the context of the budget speech, which said that a modified UDAN scheme would be launched, which would cover 120 destinations and project to carry 4 crore people in the next 10 years. So the progress of the RCS UDAN was presented and how it has the regional connectivity has now provided 619 routes all across the country. And in fact, the assessment at the end of it was that the RCS UDAN has helped in making aviation move from being an exclusive mode of journey to an inclusive mode of journey. It has democratized air travel. So this was the RCS UDAN, and a clear roadmap for moving forward was presented. Then we had our Chairman, Airport Authority of India, Shri Vipin Kumar, who presented on airport development in India and related infrastructure. So this was in the context of budget announcement about more PPP projects and also greenfield projects in some parts of the country. So he presented how the air passenger traffic growth provides a foundation for expanding airports in the country. If we go back 10 years, the number of passengers were about 11 crores, and that has doubled to 22 crores. And in the next 5 years, in fact, we expect and project that will further double again to about 40 crores. So definitely, airport development is a top priority that has to be taken up. And he presented the full details of how airport development is to take place, the regional aspects and the support from the state governments in the context of the National Civil Aviation Policy 2016. So this was a very thorough presentation done by the Chairman, Airports Authority of India. Quickly then I'll move to the third topic, which was public-private partnership, where we had a colleague from the private sector, the CEO of the Hyderabad Airport Limited, Mr. Pradeep Panikar, who presented. And the key data is that we have made quite a progress on PPP on airports. In fact, in India today, we have 14 airports on PPP basis. There are some of them which were AI airports, in fact 8 of them which have been now kept on PPP basis for the operation and maintenance. And there are also 6 state government airports and more upcoming, for example, the Noida, Jewar and the Navi Mumbai near Mumbai and the Bhogapuram in Andhra Pradesh. So the PPP portfolio in airports is very healthy. The benefits that the PPP mechanism provides to airports were also highlighted, including a more time-bound construction period and quality of services and the efficiency in operations, including the increases in the air traffic movements which have happened through the dynamism of the private sector. So this was the presentation on PPP. And the last one was by an operator of a RCS airline, which has been quite successful, Mr. Shimran Singh Tiwana, CEO of Star Air. He highlighted how earlier the traffic, almost 65% was in the 6 metro airports of the country, but now it has spread out to different parts of the country. And in fact, the various speakers also gave anecdotes on how the regional connectivity has provided people the ability to fly and the aspiration to fly, and that the upcoming modified RCS Udaan would provide a very timely intervention to promote further connectivity to different corners of the country. So I will stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Sri Ashok Meena, Secretary, Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation, for the summary of the session on Jal Jeevan Mission.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We had a breaking out session on Jan Bhagidari in JJM and SBM, Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin. 3 panelists were there, apart from the Mission Director Swachh Bharat Mission, Mission Director Jal Jeevan Mission, and me joining the panel. More than 1,400 participants participated in the listening mode. Representatives from the state governments, union territories, rural WASH partners, that is NGOs, and the sector experts were also there in our post-budget seminar. Highlights from the panelists' discussion which came out, there was a unanimity that the extension of JJM and outlays for the Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin and JJM in the budget is a very welcome step, because the water service delivery to each household as well as the sanitation services delivery in the rural areas is very important, and it will go a long way in ensuring these 2 basic services are delivered. There was a consensus that the O&M which has been announced to be the main focus is the right priority, for which the Government of India and our ministry will be issuing the detailed guidelines. They also highlighted the requirement of involving the community for water service delivery and sanitation services delivery through the village water and sanitation committees at the village level. Close monitoring by the districts rather than the central government and the state government was also highlighted by the panelists. So we are going to have district water and sanitation missions headed by the collectors to monitor them very closely on monthly basis through the use of technology, through the use of the dashboards at the district level. It was also highlighted that budget announcement and the budget outlays are one part, but the most important aspect which Honorable PM said in his speech was the implementation of the budget, and this is what we should be concentrating. The behavior related issues and the IEC aspects, behavior change related issues and the IEC aspects need to be given a specific focus in implementation of both the missions, for which use of technology and the social media should be increased. It was also highlighted that amount of water being used and is very high, and we need to conserve the amount of water which is used in the rural areas as well. Therefore, groundwater recharge and conservation of water through Jan Bhagidari and Jal Sanchay should become a main focus. The representative from the NGO, Mr. Madhavan from WaterAid India, also suggested to adopt 5 critical principles of inclusivity, generating demand through behavior change, instill the ownership among the community for managing the asset, inspire the faith and trust of for the quality of service, so that the people in general drink only potable water rather than the water whichever is available to them, and ensure that citizens' voice is heard. For this, he said that importance of contracts with clear accountability mechanism need to be worked out between the village water sanitation committees and the people who would actually be operating and maintaining the schemes. He also highlighted that left out households identification is an important area which should receive due consideration in the first few months of next year. Formal certification of handing over could be designed in such a manner so that the ownership of these assets rests with the community, was also highlighted. We concluded the panel by saying that the inputs will be taken into consideration for implementation. JJM and SBM Grameen both will ensure that preventive measures for reducing out-of-pocket health costs reduces in rural areas. Details of our recommendations will be shared in one-page format today, and detailed report will be given in a couple of days. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So now we really have very little time because honorable ministers are waiting and one of them has to leave for the airport shortly. May I request Mr. Shakil Alam, Economic Advisor of the Ministry of Mines, to give the summary on mining reforms. But please be very brief because we have very few minutes left.
I'll be short, sir. Sir, thank you so much. So on the session on mining sector reforms, Secretary Mines had, chaired it. The online audience was around 380 and they included a wide array of stakeholders. We had 7 speakers in this session and they spoke on 5 aspects of mining reforms. 3 speakers are mining CEOs and they spoke about the imperative of mining sector reforms for greater investment in mining. 1 speaker is from the state government and he spoke about the experience of mining sector reforms already undertaken in states and their impact. Another speaker, he heads the Minor Mineral Industry Federation and he spoke about initiatives and gaps in state level reforms in minor mineral administration. The 6th speaker was from an academic institution, head of IIT ISM, which is engaged with the Ministry of Mines for the State Mining Index work. He spoke about the framework of the index, which has been finalized and shared with states. The last speaker is from an expert agency who spoke about a specific aspect of mining sector reforms, which is operationalization of auctioned mines. The speakers also shared innovative measures undertaken in mining operations and mining administration and regulation. The speakers, as well as the audience, online audience, raised certain issues on the exploration license regime, steps to expedite EC and FC approvals, use of AI in exploration and mining, e-management systems in mining administration, recycling or urban mining, and the need for uniform minor mineral policy across states. We have received other suggestions also, which will be examining them. These things. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. That was really quick. May I now request Sri Shashank Mishra, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Power, to give the summary for the breakout group on power reforms.
Good evening, sir. In our breakout session, we had 10 panelists and 4 interveners, around 1,700 participants who gave their suggestions and input, or who were in the listening. Announcement was related to 0.5% of additional borrowing for power sector reforms. And the scheme was welcomed by the participants, and there was a general understanding that the scheme should be continued for beyond a year, and that the end use of the additional borrowing should be tied up with the sectors or with positive areas of investment. Then there was also this understanding which came out that the guidelines may be simplified to suit the state's baseline situations. There were certain other suggestions received with respect to the transmission projects that the ROW issues need to be handled on priority at the state level. The DPR preparation has to be made more diligent, and there should be strict qualifying requirements while selecting the DPR consultants. Another suggestion that was received was regarding that the center should be supporting the state. This was requested by the state that center should come in and support the states for initiatives being taken by them for privatization of the utilities. Another suggestion received was for parallel licensing to be brought in for the areas, especially for where new power demand is coming in, like IT park, like industrial park. RPO compliance may be included as a part of additional borrowing. This was another suggestion, and especially in view of the large-scale RE projects which are coming up. And smart meter data analytics need to be really pushed because that is the way forward for having power purchase optimization and for overall betterment of the power sector. So these were the broad suggestions that were received during the course of discussion. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shashank, for keeping that brief. May I now know if the Honorable Minister for Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Sri Sonowal, is online? No, I can see civil aviation. May I now request the Honorable Minister for the Ministry of Civil Aviation, Sri Ram Mohan Raidu, for his address, for his intervention.
Thank you very much. I hope I am audible. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are. Please go on.
Okay.
Yes, sir, you are.
Honorable Ministers of Housing, Urban Affairs, Manohar Lal ji, Ports and Shipping, Sarbanand Sonowal ji, Jal Shakti, C.R. Patil ji, and other ministers who are connecting in this webinar, and the senior officials, industry partners and stakeholders, a very good evening to each and every one of you. To begin with, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, under whose guidance these four sectors today, under his exemplary leadership, global partners and industry leaders look up to India's policies, progress, and its vast potential. We are the fifth largest economy in the world, and with the enhanced ease of doing business, ease of travel, and ease of living, we are going to be the third largest economy in the next 5 years by 2030. Aligning with the vision, by 2030, we are also going to be the biggest aviation market in the whole world with enhanced ease of flying. Over the past decade, the NDA government has provided the much needed stability and the strength to the economy with groundbreaking reforms like Digital India, Make in India, Startup India, Skill India, which is paving the way for Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is self-reliant India. PM Modi's approach has always been rooted in inclusion, driven by the spirit of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas. The post-budget webinar series also serves as a valuable platform for fostering synergy, encouraging industry, and also policymakers to gain deeper insights into budgetary provisions and economic policies. As the youngest cabinet minister in the cabinet, I look up to Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji as the pilot who is steering our India's progress like a flight towards Viksit Bharat. Under his visionary leadership, all of us have boarded this collective journey, and we all have shared commitments. And as our captain mentioned in the initial address, investment in youth, innovation, and the economy it will define the roadmap for Viksit Bharat. I believe our robust economy today is driven by strategic investments and strategic reforms we have made in the transport sector, logistics, and especially aviation in particular. 10 years ago, the aviation sector was facing challenges in connecting with regional and remote areas. Air traffic was mostly concentrated in the 6 major airports, leaving Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities unserved and underserved. But with the Prime Minister's path-breaking reform, which is Udan, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, we have added new routes and new airports to the civil aviation landscape of this great country. Udan has enabled 1 crore 50 lakh people, especially the lower income group and the middle class, to meet their aspirations for speedier travel. With an investment of 4,266 crores, the scheme has connected 88 underserved and unserved airports across the country, and we have operationalized 619 routes which were unconnected before. And inspired by its success, in the recent budget, Honorable Finance Minister has mentioned that we are going to extend the Udan scheme for another 10 years, starting from April 2027. And this is going to come with adding 120 new destinations in the next 10 years, which is going to benefit 4 crore people. Just like how the last 8 years we have seen 1 crore 50 lakh people being added in the Udan scheme, we are going to target 4 crore people in the coming 10 years. And the special focus is going to be especially on creating helipads, water aerodromes in the smaller airports, and also in the hilly regions, especially in the northeastern region and also aspirational districts. The viability gap funding and infrastructural support of Udan is also supporting the rise of new startup airlines also, such as Star Air, India One Air, Shank Air, which is creating new avenues for regional connectivity. And the extension of Udan is also going to facilitate for more regional airlines, carriers with small number of aircrafts also coming into the picture. The growth is also supported by successful public-private partnership. Asset monetization by tapping into private sector efficiencies has allowed for increase in greenfield infrastructure creation and augmentation of facilities at our existing airports. Delhi Airport and Bangalore Airport are a very good example, and how we are being the number one in lot of. We are continuously being listed in the airports. So the PPP model has enabled us to bring in more investment into the picture and also improve the current facilities that we are providing at the airports. And I extend my gratitude to our Honorable Finance Minister for announcing the development of new greenfield airports in Bihar in the budget 2025, addressing the state's significant aviation demand at the existing Patna airport, and which is also nearing the saturation. And we have seen other airports like Darbhanga Airport, which has been a huge success for Udan, and we are seeing aviation grow like anything in Bihar. So this announcement is going to help us further grow the aviation footprint in the state of Bihar. Another significant announcement in budget 2025 that unlocks new opportunities for our stakeholders and the local economy is the emphasis on air cargo, which is growing at an annual rate of 10%. I believe development of air cargo hubs in the country would align with our Honorable Prime Minister's vision of connecting local to the global. He has always envisioned that the local products that we have, especially the perishables, should be on the plate of people across the world. And air cargo is a wonderful solution for that. And it was mentioned in the budget also. And we are going to take it forward by creating new opportunities for the rising e-commerce sector also in the country. Our airports are not just mere transit hubs. We see them as economic hubs with huge multiplier effect on job creation by supporting other sectors like tourism, infrastructure, real estate, logistics, agriculture, and many more. And the doubling of airports that we have seen in the last 10 years from 74 to 159 has unlocked immense potential for further investments in this sector. The annual number of air passengers has surpassed 350 million, enabling our airlines to place the largest order ever of more than 2,000 aircrafts. We have 300 delivered and 1,700 yet to be delivered. So you can imagine how much aircraft growth is going to happen in this country. And this rising aircraft inventory highlights the immense growth potential for MRO sector. the maintenance, repair and overhaul sector, for which we are providing strong policy support and fostering aircraft component manufacturing also within the country, so that we are going to become a holistic aviation hub across the world. And also the aviation sector, which is growing at more than 12%, there is also a significant opportunity for the training industry to develop highly skilled force to meet the sector's expanding needs. Let it be training of the pilots, let it be training of the crew, ground handling, maintenance, engineers, lot of other aspects. There is a huge potential for us to train our workforce, especially the younger generation, to come into this sector and get these jobs. And not only for the Indian domestic sector, but across the world, we can create that kind of capacity building in the country where people can come here and get trained for the aviation sector. And I believe that India is the land of limitless opportunities. And by investing in our economy, investing in the connectivity and investing in transporting sector, we can realize the complete potential. Just like valuable discussions and much needed exchange of thoughts we had today, we must come together and work as Team India. I once again heartfully thank our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji for sharing his visionary thoughts and bringing all of us together, from ministers to the stakeholders to the industry partners, and encouraging the sharing of ideas and collectively to contribute to the whole goal of Viksit Bharat. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your intervention, sir. May I now request the Honorable Minister for Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Sri Sarbananda Sonowal, for his address.
Namaskar. I am especially thankful to everybody taking part in this post-budget webinar 2025. And for this budget, I am especially grateful to Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji and also the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. And in this budget, whatever path-breaking announcement being made for the overall development of the country and also for the maritime sector, it is unique. Indian budget 25-26 has been a historic budget for the maritime sector of our nation. Never before has this sector been conferred with so many path-breaking policy announcements. This budget has a strong foundation to achieve the ambitious target set forth by Honorable Prime Minister through Maritime Amritkal Vision 2047, and would make India's maritime sector globally competitive. Maritime Development Fund, set up with a corpus of rupees 25,000 crores, will create a unique ecosystem to boost the much needed financing for ship acquisition, modernized port, increased indigenous and Indian flag vessel, reduce our dependence on foreign fleet and stem foreign exchange outflow. The fund will have up to 49% contribution by the government, and the balance will be mobilized from port and private sector. By 2030, Maritime Development Fund is expected to generate about rupees 1.5 lakhs crores of direct and indirect investment in the shipping sector, and will also lead to generation of about 11 lakhs new employment opportunities. Shipbuilding financial assistance 1.0 had been successful in boosting the indigenous shipbuilding industry, and there was a huge demand to extend the policy with few improvement as per the need of the industry. The revamped shipbuilding financial assistance policy 2.0, apart from addressing cost disadvantages, will also include credit notes for shipbreaking and Indian yards to promote the circular economy. Ships which will be scrapped in India will be given a credit note which can be used to adjust against the cost of a new vessel manufactured in Indian shipyard. This will boost Atmanirbharta in shipbuilding in India. Large ship above a specified size has been proposed to be included in the infrastructure harmonized master list. This will give a boost to the domestic shipbuilding industry, thus driving the Atmanirbhar Bharat agenda. Shipbuilding clusters have been proposed to be facilitated to increase the range, categories, and capacity of ships. This will include additional infrastructure facilities, skilling, and technology to develop the entire ecosystem. By way of a major step to boost inland water transportation in India as a greener and cheaper mode of transportation, the tonnage tax scheme, which is available presently to seagoing ships, has been proposed to be extended to the inland vessel registered under the Inland Vessel Act also. These measures would also improve the financial viability of shipping companies and also attract investment into the capital-intensive inland transportation sector. Considering that shipbuilding has a long gestation period, this budget proposes to continue the exemption of basic custom duty on raw materials, components, consumables, or parts for the manufacture of ships for another 10 years. The same dispensation is being extended for shipbreaking. This should make shipbuilding and shipbreaking in India globally competitive. Specific exemptions as available to aircraft leasing units has been proposed to be extended to ship leasing unit set up in International Financial Services Center. This will promote ship leasing activities in India. This proactive policy and taxation measures taken through Union Budget 2025 for the maritime sector will attract global players to India for investment. Induce technology transfer, promote scaling in ports, shipbuilding, ship leasing, ship recycling, and ship repairs, and help us not only become Atmanirbhar, but also become a top maritime nation in shipping and shipbuilding. Time has come for India to rise and reclaim its stature as a leading maritime nation. Historic increase in budgetary allocation for Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways. This year, the budgetary allocation for the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways has witnessed a historic, never before annual increase of 46% a year. As compared to rupees 2,377.49 crores last year, this year the budget allocation for the ministry has been increased to rupees 3,470.58 crores. For inland waterways too, the increase in budget allocation has been a massive 47.23% as compared to rupees 1,190.11 crores last year. This year, the budget allocation for inland waterways authorities has been increased to rupees 1,752.31 crores. Assistance to shipbuilding research and development has increased by 143% as compared to last year, increased from rupees 150 crores last year to rupees 365 crore this year. For your information, let me tell you, this ministry has already had a very, very meaningful post-budget interaction with maritime stakeholders. On 27 February 2025, the ministry organized a post-budget interaction with maritime stakeholders at Mumbai with a view to obtain the maritime industry stakeholders' feedback and suggestion on the future roadmap for revitalizing India's shipbuilding sector in the light of path-breaking budgetary announcement concerning the maritime sector. The interaction was attended by heads and senior representatives from various shipyard associations, shipbuilders, ship recyclers, financing, leading companies, major ports, railways, Inland Waters Authority of India, head of shipping, PSUs, representatives from various infra and other ministries, custom, etc. So the Ministry of Port Shipping Waterways sincerely extend its gratefulness to Honorable Prime Minister and the Finance Minister for promoting this maritime sector in a great manner. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you for your intervention, sir. May I now request the Honorable Minister for Housing and Urban Affairs, Shri Manohar Lal Khattar, for his speech.
Dear participants, as you all know, India today stands as the fastest growing major economy, driven by a decade of structural reforms and a strong developmental record. With the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047 guiding us, the Union Budget 25-26 has introduced transformative reforms across 6 key sectors, including urban development and power sector. Further, Honorable Prime Minister has given us guidance to invest in people, economy, and innovation. All these 3 verticals have to be synergized to provide for smart and sustainable urbanization. I am delighted to share my thoughts on the theme investing in economy, ease of living, and ease of traveling. Friends, the Union Budget 25-26 focuses on urban reforms in governance, municipal services, and land and planning. In the power sector, it promotes electricity distribution reforms and strengthens intra-state transmission. Furthermore, it proposes infrastructure ministries to develop a 3-year pipeline of projects that can be implemented in PPP model. Let me first share with you my thoughts on the urban sector reforms. It is estimated that the urban population will be around 90 crores by 2047, that is 50% nearly of our total population, which necessitates planned urbanization with the participation of private sector, especially in the real estate industry. Further, for a creative development, a new paradigm of partnership of citizen, urban local body, private investor, and public policy has to be evolved. Startups and self-help groups will have to be co-opted as partners to fill in the gap of capacities and technology. Moreover, urban planning practices should now become an integral part of every infrastructure project to attend to prevention of environment. One of the key announcements in this budget is to set up an urban challenge fund to implement the proposals of cities as growth hubs, creative redevelopment of cities, and water and sanitation. The rupees 1 lakh crore urban challenge fund will transform cities into economic growth hubs. Creative development of cities is one way of attending to this challenge. Rupees 10,000 crore allocated by financial year 25-26. This fund leverages private and institutional investments with government support capped at 25% of project costs. This allocation will enable the implementation of projects worth rupees 40,000 crore, which is going to boost urban growth and positions cities as engines of economic growth through integrated planning and sustainable financing. Friends, India's top cities currently contribute significantly to the national GDP, and strategic urban planning will further enhance their role as economic and growth hubs. Seamless integration of transport, utilities, and services will be ensured through convergence with ongoing programs like Amrit 2.0 and Jal Jeevan Mission. Sustainable urban development will be promoted with digital integration and green incentives. Redevelopment of underutilized urban spaces is essential for meeting the demand of rapid urbanization, urban regeneration projects, waterfront development, and revitalization and transit-oriented development will drive economic renewal. Mixed income housing models and enhanced civic amenities will ensure inclusive growth. Access to clean water and sanitation remains a priority as urban populations expand, with Amrit 2.0 continuing to drive universal water supply and sewage management, emphasizing water recycling, resource recovery, and smart governance. Financial sustainability will be ensured through municipal green bonds, structured tariffs, and public-private partnerships, enabling ULBs to expand and modernize infrastructure. I must say that with a challenge-based approach, Urban Challenge Fund prioritizes cities with strong financial planning and execution capabilities, and the success will be assessed infrastructure efficiency, economic impact, and sustainability. I would like to further add about immense potential of artificial intelligence to contribute to economic growth and use of artificial intelligence-driven economic solutions, as mentioned by Honorable Prime Minister in his address today. Friends, going forward, ULPs must enhance revenue generation, integrate artificial intelligence-driven monitoring, and adopt transparent governance measures. Now I come to the power sector. Friends, to realize the dream of a Viksit Bharat by 2047, availability uninterrupted power will be essential. Power is an absolute requirement for economic growth, driving industries, businesses, and innovation while making everyday life easier and more comfortable. Therefore, a strong, efficient, and sustainable power sector is not just essential, it is the foundation of India's progress. I'm happy to share that we have achieved a massive progress in the power sector in last 1 decade or so. We successfully met a record power demand of 250 gigawatt with minimal shortages. Our total installed generation capacity has nearly doubled, rising from 249 gigawatt in 2014 to 466 gigawatt as of January 2025. We have added 136 gigawatt of renewable capacity, increasing the total non-fossil based generation capacity of 220 gigawatt. We are well on track to achieve our target of 500 gigawatt of non-fossil based capacity by 2030. Our transmission sector is one of the world's largest synchronized grids today, which is capable of transferring 119 gigawatt of power across the country. This achievement ensures seamless energy flow, fulfilling the vision of one nation, one grid, one frequency. Transmission sector further requires an investment of rupees 9.166 lakh crores, with over 30% coming from estates for intrastate transmission. In distribution sector, under various Government of India schemes, that is DDU, GJY, IDPS, and Saubhagya, projects worth rupees 1.85 lakh crores have been implemented. Additionally, rupees 2.78 lakh crores has been sanctioned under the RDSS for infrastructure and smart metering. As a result, power availability in rural areas has risen from 12.5 hours in financial year 2014 to 22.6 hours in financial year 2025, while urban supply has improved to 23.4 hours, ensuring more reliable electricity for all. To meet the growing power demand, the National Electricity Plan has been prepared for the generation and transmission sectors till 2032. The plan targets the addition of 1.91 lakh circuit kilometers of transmission lines and 1,307 GVA of transmission capacity by 2032 to support India's goal of installing 500 gigawatt of non-fossil energy by 2030. The projected investment requirement up to 2030 is to the tune of rupees 42 lakh crores. One key intervention has been the additional borrowing space of 0.5% of gross state domestic product, that is GSDP, allowed to state linked to reform in the distribution sector. Friends, looking forward, I want to emphasize that we will take all measures to ensure all India state transmission projects required by 2030 as per the resource adequation plan are bid out progressively by 2027. All government establishments should be fixed with prepaid smart meters. Government department dues and subsidies should be paid in time. Cost-effective tariff and fuel and power purchase costs adjustment is put in place for automatic monthly adjustment of fuel and power purchase costs. Efforts should be made by states to list their state power utilities to improve transparency and efficiency. In the end, I must acknowledge that it is truly pleasing to witness government officials, power sector leaders, and stakeholders actively engaging and sharing insights in this webinar. I look forward to today's discussion yielding clear solutions and actionable plans to tackle both existing and emerging challenges while fostering a financially robust and environmentally sustainable development plan. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your address, sir. May I now call upon Srimati Vidyavati, Honorable Secretary for the Ministry of Tourism, for a closing remark.
Good evening and namaskar to everyone. Today's discussions on the theme investing in economy saw participation of 23 ministries, eminent experts from various sectors, and close to around 17,000 participants to discuss ideas, issues, and perspectives on how we go about implementing the budget announcements of 2025-26. First of all, we are actually extremely fortunate to benefit from the vision and guidance of the Honorable Prime Minister, who settles thinking in the right direction of Viksit Bharat 2047 through his very inspiring address and guidance to all of us. Our gratitude to the Honorable Ministers who were there as a part of the discussion. I think today's discussion, we've been able to identify, sir, the important challenges and pressing issues and a possible approach towards implementing the budget announcements as we go forward. I would like to just say that it's very, very important that this discussion is not limited to today, but we actually continue this dialogue and partnership with the stakeholders and co-create solutions for each of our sector. A special word of thanks to the panelists, to the experts who spent the day joining us, guiding us, and inspiring us with their ideas and thoughts. Thanks to the audience, and a special word of thanks to the entire NIC team, which ensured seamless connectivity today to make our deliberations smooth and very convenient. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. That brings us to the end of the session. Thank you. Marathon.